ZANDILE Dudula was on ENCA and she was being interviewed, and they asked her a question: what are frontline states and what are their historical significance? Well, she didn't know the answer to the question and everyone is making fun of her.
Ended question. If I say frontline states, what comes to mind and what can you say in relation to that?
So now this is about the people. We have this Freedom Charter where Operation Dudula is entrenching the Freedom Charter that says people shall govern. And currently we don't have leaders. We are on autopilot, and that's where Operation Dudula comes in.
No, I'm asking about frontline states.
What are frontline states, Vele? So frontline states refers to a group of African countries that bordered South Africa and supported the anti-apartheid movement by providing a political and military base for the struggle. These states include Angola, Botswana, Lesotho, Mozambique, Swaziland, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe formed a coalition in the 1970s to coordinate their response to the apartheid government and to provide sanctuary for the refugees and the liberation movement activists.
So this is about, are you now taking this together with...
if I say to you frontline states, from a historical perspective, what comes to mind as we have this conversation?
The frontline states, I would believe it's about, the people in power.
He obviously doesn't know what frontline states. Okay. She obviously doesn't know what.
She should have just been honest. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. She should have just asked, what are frontline states? And the host would have explained, because this is easy to answer. And it's in reference to Operation Dudula. Since they are chasing out illegal immigrants, what are those other African countries, the frontline countries, will say about South Africa, because those countries were assisting South Africa during apartheid. You get what I mean?
Powerful. On the other hand, Betunana, imbi into eyenzeke kuZandile. uZandile is the leader of Operation Dudula. And uZandile, when she started Operation Dudula, I think she just wanted to have a movement. Then you guys planted ideas in her head, hey, we're gonna vote for you, wara, you can be a great leader, you can be our president. Now, you guys have put her in a corner. And it's embarrassing. Guys, running a country, politics is not based on one thing. You can't hear me saying one thing that you like, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, you're gonna be president. Now do you believe you guys are gonna vote for me? Nina? So ZANDILE Betunana was asked, Betunana, it's so embarrassing. Actually, I want you guys to listen for yourself. She was asked what comes into mind when she hears frontline state, and I feel like I don't know. Please explain to me. I don't understand, or I feel like than answering something that you know that you don't know. I would prefer I don't know, like tell me what you mean or something, like listen to what she said. I share and Zamsizeli, but more than anything I blame you guys. What an embarrassment. These are the leaders that you want to vote for. Hey, this is our next great lead. These are the leaders that you guys want to vote for. These are your leaders. No wonder ni pita ganga. No wonder ninche. Listen to this.
Ms. Dudula, let me just ask an open-ended question. If I say frontline states, what comes to mind and what can you say in relation to that?
So now this is about the people. We have this Freedom Charter where Operation Dudula is entrenching the Freedom Charter that says people shall govern. And, currently we don't have leaders. We are on autopilot. And that's where Operation Dudula comes in.
No, I'm asking about frontline states.
Frontline states. So this is about, are you now taking this together with...
if I say to you frontline states, from a historical perspective, what comes to mind as we have this conversation?
The frontline states, I would believe it's about, the people in power.
He obviously doesn't know what frontline states. Okay. she obviously doesn't know what a frontline state is.
I do also want to read the breakdown of a blessing Teho Ratilwe. She broke it down beautifully. She said a frontline state refers to the countries in Southern Africa that were directly involved in the struggle against apartheid and colonial rule. These were nations such as Zambia, Tanzania, Mozambique, Botswana, Angola, and Zimbabwe. Countries that supported liberation movements like the ANC, the PAC, and SWAPO by offering military bases, training, and political refuge when apartheid South Africa was still a brutal regime. So when someone can't even explain what a frontline state is, yet claims to speak for the people, it's clear they lack historical grounding and political consciousness. These are not leaders, they are opportunists who thrive on noise and fear-mongering. What's even more dangerous is that people like her are now targeting our healthcare systems, the one sector meant to save lives, not divide them. Instead of addressing the government's failures to equip hospitals and clinics, they turn ordinary citizens against healthcare workers and patients. That is not patriotism, it's ignorance disguised as... And then just to continue reading from that post, she said, you cannot build a better country on hatred and misinformation. A real leader understands his history, respects the constitution, and protects the dignity of every person, not just those who fit a certain narrative. Know your leaders. And shout out to you already with this. You simplified it beautifully. Uzandile wenu. Nizawuthini ke ngoku? Nizawuthini ke ngoku? Yo.
Frontline states. Now, these are African people or a group of people from other countries within the African continent who came together and then came to South Africa to assist South Africans into fighting the apartheid government. So that's what it was meant by frontline states. So yeah. Now, ZANDILE Lowe Operation Dudula just went on national TV and she was asked a question in relation to frontline states. And she struggled to answer that question because she did not know what are frontline states. And a lot of people now have taken that opportunity to discourage or to talk bad about umsebenzi oyenziwa Operation Dudula. The time Operation Dudula was fighting with Paza shops and saying that his Paza shops must close down, they should not sell expired goods to our kids. We were all supporting. Operation Dudula now it's moving into hospitals and saying that if you are illegally here in South Africa, you do not have to access these services because of nabaleta medication on that specific clinics. They bring those medication based on the number of people that stay in that area. So makufika umuntu ongekho documented, kusho lo muntu lo is not part of our stats. Therefore, makazothatha a medication, it means that an ordinary tabo will not be assisted with a medication, and they are fighting that. But ngoba ilwa Operation Dudula and ilwa uZandile, people are now speaking bad about it. But if it was the ANC who's fighting it, if it was the EFF who's fighting it, if it was the DA who's fighting it, then abantu would have spoken positive about it. Those are the political parties that have a huge following. So whatever bayenzayo, people would have supported and people would have said, this is right, we support it. But ngoba Operation Dudula, that doesn't have much of a following, abantu abaningi they are now against it simply because ama-party leaders wabo, they are against what is done by Operation Dudula. So they've taken this opportunity, ZANDILE exposing herself on national TV as she did not understand the question that was asked to her. And into normal leyo ingangenzela nami nawe ngakwenzela, but into ukuthi siqala ukuhlekana then angazi nami. And somehow no ZANDILE ngiyamblame naye because of if you are asked a question that ongazi na ukuthi yini, you have a right to say ukuthi my bra, I don't know what is that, maybe ngiyazi in a different term, but ngicela ungiexplainele yona and then I'll be able to give you a proper answer or rephrase the question, I'll be able to answer you and then keep it moving. So naye somehow ngiyamblame, and ekugcineni hayi ukuthi sonke sizwazi zonke izinto empilweni. But yeah,
awu bethunana waze wahlazeka uZandile Dubula nkosi yami, waze wahlazeka kumphethe kwejournalist nkosi yami, kwam-exposer because she's just nothing, an empty vessel making the loudest noise in the room. Waze wahlazeka nkosi yami uZandile Dubula wenkosi shem. Like, my question is, how do you claim to be revolutionary and leading a revolution, but you don't even understand the history of that revolution you claim to lead? That's the biggest problem with you people of South Africa. You're looking for someone who will seem like they're doing something, but they're doing nothing. Now, the reason why you followed ZANDILE Dudula is just because we are saying foreigners must leave, and install that idea that foreigners are the one that makes you not to work in South Africa while your government is not doing anything. Yeah, ne? Like, she failed to explain a frontline state in a public platform, guys. You can't claim to be a revolutionary, you can't claim to be in this revolution, but you don't even know what is a frontline state. You don't even know how are the states that assisted South Africa in apartheid being referred to. Mara, when you are claiming to be revolutionary, well, that's what you've ordered as South Africans. I guess you must chew it. Pegani president na yakulu.
Mr. Bula, let me just ask an open-ended question. If I say frontline states, what comes to mind and what can you say in relation to that?
So now this is about the people. We have this Freedom Charter where Operation Dudula is entrenching the Freedom Charter that says people shall govern. And currently we don't have leaders. We are on autopilot, and that's where Operation Dudula comes in.
No, I'm asking about frontline states.
Frontline states. So this is about. Are you now taking this together with?
If I say to you frontline states, from a historical perspective, what comes to mind as we have this conversation?
The frontline states, I would believe it's about the people in power.
He obviously doesn't know what a frontline state is. Okay. She obviously doesn't know what a frontline state is.
Apart from that, now we're having people like Abo Shabisa. It's not Shabisa speaking, it's elections speaking. Now Shabisa is saying that foreigners must go. I say South Africa.
It is actually criminal for any leader to can actually lead any South African political constituency without at least a basic grasp of history. I briefly watched only the clips and snippets of the interview of ZANDILE of Dudula operations, interviewer ENCA. And believe me, she don't even know what the frontline states were during when apartheid South Africa. Yet she lead a political constituency in the grassroots that characterize themselves as addressing the immigration problem. Yes, there is an immigration problem in South Africa, but then you can actually use the right channels because there's no border gates. You are not doing anyone any justice. If there's anything, you are inflicting violence and you're provoking black people to fight amongst each other and self-hatred. The same thing that the apartheid government wanted from black people. That's why we had the likes of Askari. Some of the Askaris were South Africans, some were Zimbabwean, some were whatever. But frontline states bridged that gap. That's why today you've got countries like Nigeria, the Frelimo of Mozambique, and all of this, even the Zimbabwean government provided assistance and refugee to South Africans. And I'm not saying that gives black people throughout the continent the right to come and disrespect South African laws and the constitution, to disrespect South Africans, to run cartels and human trafficking, But we cannot use the approach that so-called Dudula operation is operating on. You have got no basic grasp of historical materialism of your own country, since you say you're South African. If she's even South African, which I doubt, it's so disappointing. Like, even with that, I wonder what is going to happen if I'm going to watch the whole interview. It's so embarrassing. It's a disgrace.